Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is day 21 of my journey to learn Japanese, and this series of live streams is all about documenting my progress at learning Japanese, having started as a complete beginner. And my goal for today is to expand my Japanese vocabulary, in particular, like listening comprehension. So, sure, when you learn Japanese vocabulary, um, you can learn the relevant kanji. You can learn like pitch, intonation, how to pronounce the word, and those are all things I want to work on. But for today's session, I simply want to be able to basically know the word and be able to hear it. And so what I'm going to be focusing on is just basic vocabulary. So we're here on the Lingo Command website, and if we go to the beginner section here, we've got these topics that we can study. And last time I already covered animals, body parts, clothes, and colors. So let's go to days of the week, which I made a start on last time. And so here, um, once again, the goal is not to learn the kanji for today. I just want to be able to recognize a word when I hear it. And so what I'm going to do is um, I'm going to try and write the answers from English to Japanese. So we've got a quiz here, right? We can press quiz here. And then we'll get the questions being posed in English. Then if I tap here, we can handwrite our answers. So I think this one is Getsu Yobi. And so if I have to write that in hiragana, I think Monday would be something like this. Getsu Yobi. Let's take a look. Getsu Yobi. Nice, that's a match. Tuesday. I think it's Ka Yobi. And so I think this would be, I struggle to write this neatly. Ka Yobi. Yeah, that's another match. Fantastic. This one is Suyobi. So I would say, presumably, you start here. Su yo bi. Like that. Yeah, that's a match again. Fantastic. Then Friday is Kinyobi. So if we were to write that, you would get kin. This is N in hiragana. And then this yobi always stays the same for days of the week. Let's see. Yeah, that's another match. Here, I didn't connect this line because this is the handwritten form for ki. But that's all okay. And by the way, if you're wondering, why am I writing my answers in hiragana, it's because that way I get some writing practice. I think this is something like mokuyobi, if I remember correctly. So it's mo ku yo bi. Mokyobi. Yeah, that's correct again. Fantastic. And then this is doyobi. Doyobi. Now we know that T becomes D when you add Dokuten marks on top, so we just need the to, which is this one. And then we add, I think it's on the inside, or is it above? Let's write this more neatly. I'm gonna say it's around here. The Dokuten mark, so this is do, and then here it's the same thing as before. That dash was a bit extreme. Do yo bi. Great. And then this one is nichi yobi. And so ni is this one. Chi is like a kind of looks like a 5. Let's try and write that more neatly. And then yo is this one. It's a U there. And then this one is a B. Nichiyobi. Great. Why don't we now move on to months of the year? Let's try this. So I say that, but now that I think about it, you need to know the numbers first in order to know months of the year. And so perhaps this is a better place to start. So let's give this a go. So we're gonna write our answers in hiragana, apply random ordering. This is hyaku. Hyaku. So this is probably gonna be a yun combination to get this hya. So this ya is half sized, and then it's just ku. 100,000. Yeah, so it's probably worth like trying to remember these units. So I think it's something like sen is 10,000, man is 1,000. Then hyaku is 100. Is that right? So I would have assumed, or is sen, is that 100,000? Let's go with sen. And if it's wrong, then it's wrong. Ju man. Okay, so man is 10,000. Ju man. Like that. So it's, this is G. And then this is what is U again? This is U. But it needs to be half sized. And then we've got another U, full sized. And then man. So man is like this. Juman. Okay. 0 is 0 maru, or one other thing. So let's write down 0. Presumably that's written in katakana because it's a loan word. So what is set in katakana? It is that one. And then this is ro. And for those of you that have just joined, I'm doing some like vocabulary practice on the Lingo Command website. I'm currently just doing numbers, and I think 0 is you can say it as 0, maru, or one other thing. So if you write 0, presumably that's like from the English loanword, right? So you're gonna write this in katakana, and so we can check our answer in a moment, but that is ze, and then ro is this one. But let's write that more neatly. So 1, 2, 3. So that's option 1, and then option 2 is maru. So that's just going to be hiragana. Ma is this, and then ru is that one. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is rei. Rei. If we go here to the study section, let's take a look. So this is rei, this is 0, and this maru. So those two were correct. And that's actually interesting because you'd sort of want to see the whole answer here. I don't think that's quite ideal. So why don't I just make a small code change? So what I'll do is I'll spin up a local copy of the website. Bear with me, I'm just setting that up now. npm run dev. This is on my second monitor. Okay, great. So this is a local copy of the website. And you can see here the URL is different. So if we go to numbers, and then we handwrite our answers, and say this is our answer, and we submit. Here we see rate, but we want to see all 3 options. So where are we going wrong? Let's let's take a look at the answer. So what did we do to get this? We pressed submit. So in our code base, we need to look for a button submit. And when that's clicked, a function is called handle submit. Set show correct answer set to true. Let's take a look at where that is used. So set show correct answer is the variable. This is also useful. So we have this bit of text here, compare your drawing to the correct character above. So this is great, right? So we see this show correct answer here from earlier. And the thing that's being rendered is kanji stroke order view. Okay. Let me just turn off the heater. I'll be back in a second. So this is quite a bit of code. Now this is important. We almost made a mistake here. So it depends whether we're showing or not showing the kanji stroke order. Render answer. So actually render answer, because look, there's no kanji in this case. So in that case, I would say render answer is what we want to look at. Okay. So let's take a look at what correct answer, where that comes from. So correct answer presumably is just a prop. That is, yeah, so that just gets sent to this component. And so what we can do is we can say, show me what correct answer is. And then when we inspect, we should be able to see what this variable is. So yeah, okay, correct answer is just being passed like so. So handwriting modal is being used here. This is the one instance where the component is actually being called or being rendered. So what we actually want to do is say something like so here now I'm passing the whole array. It's probably going to break the code. Let's take a look. This is the part we care about. Okay. I want allowed answers to be joined as strings with as separator. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that's better. This just looks like a mess though. Let's take a look. This is the right way forward, you know? But for example, 1. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Ichi, yeah. What about 4? And then what about with hiragana and katakana? If I put 4, it should give 2 options. So you have yon, shi, yon, shi, yon, shi, yon. What is going on? That looks a bit crazed. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say console log. And I want to see this allowed answers. It's being referenced here. We've got a lot of console logs going on here. Let's remove it here. And then I'm going to refresh the page. So here it's this is all looking fine. The case where it was 4 though, that looked kind of crazy to me. Ah, okay. We're gonna have to be a bit more nifty. So we're gonna say filter answers where answer includes where it doesn't include this asterisk. And then if we submit, we get this. Fantastic. Now we're talking. So for example, this one, it's nana or shichi. So it should be 1, 2, let's turn this off. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is nana, and shichi is presumably shi, and then chi is this one. So let's submit our answer. So this is the first one. That's the second. Fantastic. So our code change is working well. So the next step would be to just double check whether this works reasonably well. So let's submit it here. Rei 0 maru. That's all still working. Okay, so if we go back to our code, I think I need to set this as a variable because we're going to use it twice. Const allowed answers string. And then we're gonna replace it here. And then we're gonna replace it there. One final quick check. So here it says get character type. What does that mean? Yeah, that looks about right. I was just checking what this get character function does. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to push this code change to production. Get branch. Okay. Fix ensuring that all allowed answers are shown in the handwriting component. Get branch. Get checkout prod. Get merge development. Fantastic. So now in about 2 minutes time, we should see this code change in production on the website. Thank you for bearing with me while I make these changes. But I think that's going to be, you know, a lot like an improved learning experience, right? If I uncheck random ordering and someone puts here 0, you know, based on this, you just immediately think you're wrong, but that's not necessarily the case. So I'm here on the Lingo Command website. I am just practicing some Japanese vocabulary. And what we can do here, so the questions are being posed in English. And if I tap here, I get this Photoshop looking component in which I can write my answer. So 1 in Japanese is ichi. But we're going to write that in hiragana. So ichi, like that. This way I can practice my vocabulary and also my writing skills for hiragana. So that's a match. Great. This one is very simple. It's ni. Yeah. San. So that is sa. So sa is like that. And then this is n. And when you write sa, when it's typed, it's 1 stroke here. But when it's handwritten, it's not. So it's like it's a handwriting thing, but those are the same characters. Great. 4 is, you can say this in 2 ways. So it's yon, and it's also shi. And I just literally just made a code change so that when we submit our answer, both changes should be shown. So I'm just gonna refresh the page so that hopefully that's now working. We'll do a quick check here. So yeah, fantastic. So we were on yon, on 4. So this is yon or shi. So yon is like this. That's yo. This is, let me write that more neatly. This is n, so this is yon. And then shi would be sa, shi, su. I'm guessing it's just this character. I don't think you would need the additional I. Let's take a look. Perfect. Cool. Then we go on to the next one. 5 is go. Go. And so we know that when you, there is no G sound in the basic 46 hiragana characters. And so what you need to remember is when you add this dakuten mark, these 2 little marks on the top right, K becomes a G. So all we really need is ko, which is this character. And then when you add these 2 marks on top, it becomes go. So this should be 5. So let's clean this up and write it neatly. Great. Now you may have noticed it was written like this. Sometimes it's written like that. Both are acceptable as far as I know. 6 is roku. Roku. This is ro and this is ku. Simple. 7, there are 2 options, right? There's nana and then there's shi chi. So let's write down nana. I want to write this neatly. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first na. Here's the second. And then I'm going to zoom out to create a bit more space. Shichi presumably is this. This is shi. And then chi is 1, 2. Kind of looks like a 5 to me. Let's write this more neatly. Nana, shichi. There we go. Fantastic. I swear that I pressed like that the answer was correct. I'm not sure why that's showing as incorrect. 8 is hachi. Hachi. So we just need ha, which is this hiragana. Then chi is the 5. We've seen this before. Great. 9 is Q, ju. So there are 2 ways to write this. It's Q or it's Q, I think. So I think this is the first option and this is the second option. Actually, I say that. This is with 2 U's. So it's Ku, U, Ku. And then the second option is this one. And then this U has to be half sized. So let me write that small. And then full sized U. And just want to explain what's going on here. So this is ki, this is U. So you think this is pronounced ki-u, but as you may have noticed, this U is very small, it's half sized. And that indicates that this combined is something called a hiragana yun combination. So you get Q, Q. It becomes a blended sound. So you don't pronounce the E here. It's not ki-u, it's Q. So let's check our answer. Okay, so the ordering, like, right, that's a match. This is correct. But there's no second U here. So this is just Ku, no second U. So we'll say it doesn't match and go on to the next one. So the next one is Ju. Ju. So this is J. This is U. And then we'll zoom out. Ju. And then this one is not sure actually. Oh, it looks like there's only one correct answer here, which is just Ju. Let's take a quick look. So there are 2 ways to say 9. There are 2 ways to say 7. 2 ways to say 4. 3 ways to say 0, but only 1 way to say 10. Great. Regarding 0, so it's rei, maru, and 0. So rei is just a Japanese word with like Japanese roots. So that's going to be hiragana. The second option is maru. That's also a Japanese word. It's going to be written like that. And then the last option obviously comes from the English word 0, or at least it doesn't have Japanese roots. And so it's going to be written in katakana. That's a match. That's a match. And that's a match. So great. Let's just see. So Now we have, and for those of you that just joined, I'm on the Lingo Command website. I'm just practicing some Japanese vocabulary, and 100 is hyaku, if I remember correctly. So if I want to write that in hiragana, you would write hi and then ya. So this is ya. But notice how this ya is half size. So this is these two, they're called a hiragana yun combination. And so this hi and ya forms one blended syllable called hya, hya. And then we just need ku at the end. So let's take a look. You can see here this ya is half size. Great. And kind of in English, for example, you need to know 10, 100, 1,000. Like 1,000 is a new word, right? But 900, we already know 9, like that's below 10, and you know what 100 is. So this 900 doesn't bring anything new. It's the moment you get to 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 that you need new vocabulary. And so with this one, I think man and sen are the new kind of units. I think man is 10K, sen is 1K. I think that's the answer. So let's just write our answer and take a look. So se is this, and then this is n. Let's write that more neatly. Fantastic. 10,000 then would be man. So ma. This is ma. Let's write this more neatly. That's n. Ichiman. So this is, so for example, in English you say 1,000. You can say 1,000, but usually you put 1. And so ichi is 1. So this is 1 10,000. So that's not quite correct. So you have to put ichiman. Fine. So let's just do that. Chi ma. There we go. Then 100,000. Presumably that's ju man. 10 times 10,000 is 100,000. So this is she, and then this is you, but it's half size, so this becomes a hiragana yun combination, becoming ju. Then we add the additional u here, so this is ju. And then if we zoom out a little bit, this is ma, this is n, juman, juman, juman. Fantastic. 1,000,000. Yeah, so I think this is basically just 100 times 10K, so it's going to be 100 man. 100 man is 1,000,000. Basically what you want to do is you want to put the largest unit here on the right that fits into 1,000,000, and then whatever's on the left is what you need to multiply that by to get 1,000,000. So of course you can put you could put 1,000 here, and then say 1,000 times 1,000 is sen, but that's not the way it works in Japanese. Instead, you put the largest unit possible here, and so it's going to be hyakuman. So this is hya. We already spoke about yun combinations. Hyakuman. Let's try and write this better. Hyakuman. Fantastic. 10,000,000. Presumably, it's senman. 1K times 10K. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Senman. Now this is a new unit. Let's take a look. This is oku. Okay, so 100 million is oku, so let's write that in hiragana, oku, to match. And then for the next one, so a billion, the way it works in Japanese is you put the largest unit possible in front. So this is 100 million, and then you just need to multiply that by 10 to get a billion. And so when you want to say a billion, you just say 10 times 100 million. And 10 is ju, and then 100 million is oku. So a billion in Japanese is ju oku. And then if you want to write that in hiragana, this is ji, this is yu. Together, so as you may have noticed, like a full-sized U would look like this, kind of same size as that one. This is a half-sized U, so this becomes a hiragana yun combination, one blended sound, so it's not G-U, it's Ju, and then we need that one additional U here to get this Ju sound, and then just oku, right? So oku, let's take a look, Ju oku, fantastic. So what I'll do is I'm going to do one more round of numbers just because it's, I think, pretty important to learn this. And I'm going to do random ordering. So that scrambles the order in which the questions are asked, kind of keeping me on my toes. So 10 is ju. Kind of had this earlier. So this is ji, yu. Together becomes a hiragana yun combination, ju. And then there are two U's here, so that's the, let me write it a little bit larger, because this U is half-sized. This is ju. By the way, I could be putting in numbers, but now that I think about it, I can actually try and take this knowledge and see if I can like come up. So here we only have, if I uncheck random ordering, we've got 0, 1 through 10, and then 1,000, 100, 10,000, etc., etc., etc. However,
1000、100、
so that's great and all, but 27 is not on here, for example, right? And so what I can do actually is I can just now try and see if I can write phonetically using hiragana 27. So the way Japanese works is you'd say 2 times 10 plus 7. So 10 is ju. 2 is ichi ni. Okay, so it's ni. So it's ni ju. And then you have nana and you have shichi. And nana is the most commonly used version of 7. So I'm going to say it's ni ju nana to say 27. If I were to write that as hiragana, it would be ni ju. And then this is na. Let me zoom out a bit. Na. So now I just have to check if this is actually correct. So I guess we'll just ask. Write 27 in hiragana. AI. Maybe we can ask ChatGPT, or how is 27 pronounced in Japanese? Nijunana, right? So here we have Nijunana. So that was correct. Great. I could continue on with that, but I think perhaps the best approach would be to go to a new topic, learn some more vocabulary. So for example, months of the year would be great. So we've got this table here, English on the right, Romaji Japanese here on the right.
1月、2月、3月。
For the pronunciation, you can just press these audio buttons. And as you may have noticed, each month just ends in gatsu, gatsu. So, and then this, ichi is 1, this is ni, this is san, san is 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, which is not a coincidence because basically August, for example, is the 8th month of the year. And so they're just saying the 8th month, presumably. I think, what is month in Japanese? Months are formed by adding gatsu, meaning month, moon, to the number for the month. There we go. So if I now try this quiz and handwrite my answers, and let's put random ordering so that, kind of keep us on our toes a little bit. So November is the 11th month of the year. So we first need to know how to say 11. So that's just ju ichi. And then gatsu is month. So this would be, let's write that more neatly. This is shi. When you add these Dakuten marks on top, becomes G. Half-sized U, this becomes a blended syllable, not GU, but Ju. Then we add the extra U here. So that's Ju. Zoom out a bit more. And then Ichi, right? So E, this is E. And then this is Chi. So write that a bit more neatly. Chi. And then we just need Ga. So this is Ka. And then if you add these two Dakuten marks on top, K becomes G. So this becomes Ga. And then we just need Tsu. Tsu is this one. That's a match. That's a match. That's a match. So is this. So is that. So is this. So is that. Fantastic. So January. Ichi. Gatsu. This is I. This is Chi. That is Ga. And then this is Tsu. Fantastic. March. March is going to be, it's the 3rd month of the year, right? So we just need to know what is 3 in Japanese. So 3 is San. And then we just stick Gatsu at the end to get March. So what is Sa in Japanese? I also want to learn Japanese, but I don't know. It's so hard. Oh, it is indeed a quite difficult language. What is your background? Do you know any Japanese? I'm happy to give some advice. Like obviously I'm still a beginner and have a long way to go, but I can point you in the right direction if you like. So yeah, please let me know. But in the meantime, I'll just continue writing my answers here. So sa is this. This is n. So this is sun. And then this is ga. And then this is tsu. San gatsu. Could you hear me respond to your message? Or is the live stream lagging? In any case, let's go with April. So we just need to know how to say 4, and there are 2 ways. You can say yon or shi. For months, for some reason, you always go with the less popular way of saying like the number. So April is going to be shigatsu. So this is shi. This is ga. And then this is tsu. So December is the 12th month of the year. So we just need to know how to say 12. So 12 is ju and then ni. So I'm basically saying 10 plus 2. 10 is ju, ni is 2. So ju ni. And then month is gatsu. So if we're going to write this in hiragana, then it would be, this is shi, this is you, this is the next u. So there are two u's here. So that u covers this. That's the second one. Ju, this is ni. And let's zoom out a bit more. Then we just need to write ga. So it's always a bit messy writing. Ka. So this ka becomes a ga when you add the Dakuten mark on top. And tsu. Ju ni gatsu. Fantastic. By the way, apologies regarding any like connection issues. It's saying here that the bit rate is slower or lower than recommended. Hopefully it's okay. September is 9th month of the year. What is 9? I know. So you can say 9 as Q and Q. And you always take the less popular option when saying months of the year. And so this would be Q, and then you just need to do this. It's Gatsu, so that should be September. So let's move on to June. So June is the 6th month of the year. 6 is Roku. And then you just take Gatsu at the end to basically get June, right? So you start with a number, what month of the year is it? And then you just take Gatsu at the end to get the month. So Roku, so Ro, this is Ro, this is Ku, and then I struggle to write the hiragana for ka. It always looks a bit awkward when I do it, but this is ka, like this, and then you add 2 more marks for the ka to become a ga, and then you put tsu at the end. Roku ga tsu. July is the 7th month of the year, and you can say 7 as nana or shichi in Japanese. And nana is the most popular one. And for months of the year, when there are two options of how to say a word or multiple, you go with the least popular option, it seems. And so we go with shi. So this is shi. This is chi. So that's 7. And then we've seen this one before. That is ga. And then let's zoom out and put tsu. Shichi gatsu. Fantastic. That's July. Now let's move on to May. So May is the 5th month of the year. 5 in Japanese is go. Go. So presumably May is go gatsu. Let's find out. So go. We're going to start out by writing ko like this. And then when you add these two marks on top, K sound becomes a G. This becomes a go. And then gatsu, right? We've done this multiple times now. It's the same for every single month. Let's take a look. Fantastic. Now, those two like Dakuten marks should be a bit lower. As for this dash not being there, that's okay. That's like a handwriting thing. Some people write their quote like this. Some people write it like this, but it definitely should have been lower, those Dakuten marks. So I'll keep that in mind for next time. But then August is the 8th month of the year. If you want to say 8, that is hachi. And then to make that August, you add gatsu at the end. So ha is this. Chi is this. Let's zoom out. What is so we can pan, actually. That moves our stuff a bit to the right. And then draw again. So that is, let's try and write that more neatly. This is ka. When you add the Dakuten mark, it becomes ga. And then we put tsu here. February. Hello. Let me respond here. Hi. So I'm just on the Lingo Command website here. I'm just doing a quiz. And February is the 2nd month of the year. To say the number 2 in Japanese, that's ichi ni. Okay, so that's ni. And then to go from 2 to February, you just add gatsu at the end, right? Ni gatsu. So 2nd month of the year, you say 2 in Japanese and add gatsu at the end. So ni in hiragana is written like that. And then this, well, let's go back. This is ka. When you add Dakuten marks on top, it becomes ga. And then this is tsu. Let's take a look. Ni ga tsu, that's a match. And then October is the 10th month of the year. If I zoom out, 10 is Kyuju. It's written like this, Ju. And then to go from 10 to October, you add month. It's basically like 10th month. That's what, if we're gonna directly translate it, this is like 10th month instead of October. So this is shi. When you add Dakuten marks on top, it becomes ji. Then this is yu. And so this is something worth pointing out, right? So like, let's say if I wrote this, it's perhaps a bit too exaggerated, but here these two kana, hiragana, are the same size. So this would be pronounced ji-yu. But here, you might have noticed this ju is half size, it's small. And so when you see a small ya, yu, or yo, thank you. When this yu is half-sized, you get something called a hiragana, or it also exists for katakana, something called a yun combination. And so this is not pronounced ji, yu, it's a blended syllable, ju. So with that said, this is ju, then we need one more u here. because there are two there. Let me write this more neatly. And if we zoom out, gatsu, so we've had this a couple of times now. So that's ka. Add the Dakuten mark on top, it becomes ga. And then this is tsu. Fantastic. So that completes months of the year. Let's take a step back. Let's look at some more vocabulary. Like to practice colors. Why not? I did a bit of that yesterday, but it's good to kind of refresh my memory. So let's put random ordering on. We're going to handwrite our answers. Pinku. Pinku. This is a loan word. It presumably comes from English. And so we're going to write our answers in something called katakana, which is the alphabet for like, loan words that don't have like a Japanese like origin. And so this is hit in katakana. And then if you add this little circle on top, that's called a handakuten mark. H goes to P, so this becomes pit. Then we just need the letter N, which is written like this. And then we need ku, which is written like this. So this is a different alphabet, katakana. Let's submit our answer and just check. I would say that's a match. Fantastic. Yellow. I believe it's kiro. And this is hiragana, right? This doesn't come from like English or French or whatever. So this this is ki. And there are two ways to write this character, by the way. So this is the typed version. This is the handwritten version where you have this gap. Either is acceptable, but since I'm handwriting this, I might as well write it like this. And then there's an additional I here, so let's write that, and then we finish it with ro. And I see that there's a question. Let me just finish this one, and then I'll get to your question or your statement. Match. Oh yeah, so I just speak English and Dutch. I know a little bit of Spanish, but barely. How about you? And yeah, Japanese does seem like a very difficult language to learn, especially like for people that are used to Romance languages or like European languages. Maybe it's a tad easier if you're like, if you speak Mandarin, perhaps, because you've got that kanji. Like kanji are just Japanese characters from what I know, so at least you'd have that in common. But yeah, I read somewhere that it takes about like 2,200 hours to become proficient in Japanese as like if you're an English speaker, but take that with a grain of salt. And in any case, brown in Japanese is chairo. And so this is chi. This is ya. And this is not pronounced chia because this ya is half size. So this becomes a blended syllable, cha. And then we just stick an I at the end and then a ro, chairo. Let's submit our answer and check. Yeah. You see here how this is smaller than the other three characters, right? Green is midori. Mi is written like that. Let's draw that a bit more neatly. 1, 2. To is this. Let's try and write that the same size. And then if you add Dakuten marks on top, T becomes a D, so this to becomes a do. And then we just add ri. Ri can be written in two ways, right? This is how it's handwritten usually, and then this is how it's written when typed. I'm going with the handwritten version, but I'm just giving you a heads up because you see it as the typed version here. This is pretty good, but what I'm noticing, by the way, is that my Dakuten marks are too low. They should be above this line. So I think, you know, it's still recognizable, but it's a bit, you know, it's not ideal. So I'm going to try and fix that for next time. Black is, so this is ku, and then this is ro. Black in Japanese is kuro. Oh my god. That is a lot of languages. German, English, Azerbaijani, Turkish, and Persian. Wow. So let's submit our answer and check. What about gray? So gray is hairo with 2 I's. Let's try and write that more neatly. Hairo. So let's zoom out a bit. This is ha. This is an I. One more I. Zoom out again. And then we can write ro. Yeah, so the website is called Lingo Command. It's also available on iOS. The app is called Lingo Command. And yeah, actually, I built this whole app myself because my background is in software engineering. And so what I'm kind of doing is like learning Japanese using this tool that I built myself. So orange is orenji. And this obviously comes from like, you know, orenji, it sounds just like orange in English. This is a loan word. And so you're going to write your answer in katakana. And so this is o. Re is this one. And then this is N. Let's zoom out. And then just what is G? So this is she. Let's try and write this more neatly. This is she. And then if you apply these two Dakuten marks on top, you get G. So this is orenji. Let's check our answer. Orenji. I would say that was pretty good. Give that a pass. Blue is ao. By the way, there's something I should point out. Of course, I know now how to like, if someone says the word, I can understand it. But there's also for Japanese something called pitch intonation, which is like how to pronounce the word. And that's not something I'm really covering today. I'm just trying to learn the vocabulary so that when I listen, I can kind of understand what people are saying. So yeah, I just wanted to give that disclaimer. So this is a, and then this is o. And that's just hiragana. Red is aka. So that is once again it's not a loan word, right? It's just got Japanese roots. This is ka. This is ka. There we go. Purple is a bit of a long one. Murasaki. This is mu. It's a bit of a complicated looking hiragana. And then ra, what is ra? Mura. Oh, that's crazy. How did I forget ra? So in hiragana, you usually a consonant comes like in a cluster of 5. So you have ra, ri, ru, re, ro. This is ro. Ru looks just like it, but it's got this little squiggle at the end. This is re. Ri is this one. And then ra is. So I could cheat and like look at the answer, but I don't want to, because I think the best way to remember is sometimes like kind of push through. So ra is this in katakana. That's still not it. Let me try and remember. Okay, I'm just gonna put ra here because I don't also want to, take up too much time of the viewers. So let me clean this up. So this is mu. Do I stream every day? I stream most days, yes. Or I'd like to continue with that. But this is crazy. So we've got a question mark for ra. Sa is this character. And then this is ki. But this is crazy. What is ra? Ah, here we go. I remember. I'm so glad that I waited a bit longer to try and remember. So this is ra. So mura sa ki. There we go. Murasaki. Yeah. White is shiro. So this is shi. And then ro is this one. That's really cool. Computer science is an awesome subject. So let's take a look. Let's do animals. So I've got hiragana and katakana. I'm going to handwrite my answers, scramble the order in which the questions are asked, and submit my answers here. So horse is uma. This is u. And this is ma. Uma. Chicken is ni wa tori. Tori, by the way, is bird. So something bird is chicken, right? That's kind of useful to try and remember these two together. So anyways, ni wa tori. So if we want to write that in hiragana, this is ni. This, let's try and write this neatly. This is wa. This is to. And then this is ri. Can write that more neatly. Just a disclaimer. This is how you write ri when it's typed. This is how it's handwritten, as far as I know. Kind of, how like in English, there are 2 ways to write a. So yeah, I just wanted to give that disclaimer. But this is my answer. Let's submit. Ni wa tori. Right? Cat is neko. So ne. What is that? Is that this one? And then this is ko. Great. So cow is it's not very useful. Cow is ushi. Yeah, I can imagine coding is a challenging subject. Keep at it. So cow is ushi. So this is u, and then this is sheep. Right? Sheep is hitsuchi. So this is he. Let's zoom out a bit. This is tsu. And then this is shi. When you add Dakuten marks on top, shi becomes ji. Hitsuji. Hitsuji. There we go. Fish is na. Actually, sakana. Sakana. I think this is back and sakana is fish. I always get those two mixed up. So I think the answer is sakana. So sa is this. I can try and write that more neatly. There we go. That's sa. This is ka. And then na is 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Sakana, great. What is dog? Dog is inu. This is i. And this is nu. Great. Rabbit is usagi. So this is u. Sa is, what is sa? Sa is this one. And then this is ki. And when you add the two Dakuten marks on top, ki becomes ji. So this is usagi. Usagi. Bird is tori. This is to. And this is ri. And when I submit my answer, it's going to look like this. So this is the typed version of the hiragana ri. This is the handwritten version. Just a little disclaimer. But yeah, that's fine. Pig is buta. This one's a little bit tricky because basically this is fu. When you then add Dakuten marks on top, fu becomes bu. And then you just need ta. So ta is this one. Let's try and write that to kind of similar scales, the other character. There we go. It looks a bit different the way it's typed here, but I think that would still be considered legible. Buta. Cool. So, I've been going over content that I'm fairly familiar with. I think what I'd like to do is kind of get a little bit outside of my comfort zone. And so why don't I try locations, for example? So I think what I'll do to start with is start with doing the quiz. Japanese to English, but in Romaji. So I think this is supermarket. Hoteru, obviously this is just hotel, right? It's like a katakana word, a loan word. This is hotel. Is this cinema? I've done this quiz like ages ago, so I'm gonna remember some. And it's gonna get more difficult as well, right? So Gakko, is that school? Koen, actually don't know. Park. Okay, Byoin is hospital. Eki is also don't know. Bakery. And Toshokan is library. And so the issue here is koen and eki. Eki is station, koen is park. Koen is park, eki is station. Let's just do the quiz again. So this is supermarket, hotel, cinema, restaurant, school, park, hospital. What was this? Station. Okay. Bakery, library. We'll go again. So station is eki. Okay, let's try and remember that. Koen is park. This is cinema. This is restaurant. This is supermarket. Toshokan is library. Gakko is school. This is hotel. Eki is station. Byoin is hospital. And this is bakery. Okay, now let's up the difficulty level a bit. I always find when you go from English to Japanese, it's a bit harder. And I'm going to try and handwrite my answers in Japanese. So this is going to go wrong. So a restaurant was something like restaurante. See. So this is a loan word, so we're going to write our answers in katakana. Re is this. S is this. To. What is to? Ra is this one. And then what is N? N is this. And then te is this one. Let's see if I got anywhere. Res. To. Ran. So this te is not necessary. But yeah, it's incorrect. So okay, so it's re. Su. Let's write this more neatly. Res. To. Ran. Restaurant. Super. If I remember correctly. So this extends a vowel sound. So it's su. And then pa is just ha. This is ha with handakuten on top. That's that little circle, that's the handakuten mark. And H becomes P. And then this extends this vowel sound from pa. So it's pa. And the su is su. Let's take a look. Su pa, that's correct. Great. Library was toshokan, right? I think this is just a Japanese word, no katakana. So let's think this through. To. Sho. Sho. I think this is going to be a yun combination. So it's half-sized yo. So library is toshokan. This is to. This is shi. This is yo. And I just want to kind of clarify, right? So if let me write this even smaller. If I write this, this would be shi and then yo. If I write this, you can see how much smaller, if I pan down here, this shi and yo, this yo is half size, so this is going to be a hiragana yun combination, and so this is not shi yo, it's sho, one blended syllable. And so I'm pretty sure for toshokan, I'm going to need to use this blended syllable here to get the sho. Then I just need a ka, which is this. and then this is the N. So let's take a look. That's a match. That's a match. This yo is half sized. This is ka. This is N. Great. So we can accept that. School. Is that something like gaku? Gaku? I think so. And so for this one, it's just gonna be this ka. Then you add dakuten marks on top to make it a ga. Ko is this mark. And then presumably a U at the end. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is a double K. So this is not quite right. So school is gakou, and that's two interesting things going on here. So this ka, when you add dakuten on top, becomes a ga. That's the first thing. And then I know that this is a tsu, but it's half-sized. And I'll come back to why I'm doing that. So now if we just add ko and u, and by the way, I kind of want to write this tsu even smaller, like that. Ga ku u. So this tsu is called sukuon. Sukuon. So when it's half-sized, actually, you don't pronounce this thing at all. Instead, it's like a pause, a syllable of silence. So you don't say gakou, it's gakou, gakou. I think basically you put extra emphasis on the K. And so that's why you see two Ks here. So this basically, you don't pronounce it, and it basically means take a break and then pronounce the next consonant with some more emphasis. So it's gakou. Gakou. And actually, let's just listen.
学校、学校、
Okay, so you don't pronounce the U at the end.
学校、
Gakko, but you can hear the break before the ko.
学校、
Gakko. Okay, cool. Station was eki, if I remember correctly. So e is this in hiragana, and then ki is this one. Easy enough. Hospital is byoin, something like that. So this is hi. When you add dakuten marks on top, hi becomes b. All right, because h goes to b with dakuten on top. And then, so this is b. And then here, I'm putting a very small yo. So this is not b yo. It's byo. When you see a half-sized ya, yu, or yo, that means that the hiragana before and that ya, yu, or yo becomes a hiragana yun combination. It's a blended syllable. So this is not bi yo, it's byo. Then we've got a u. It's just going to be normal font size. Byo. This is an I. Let me zoom out. Or sorry, remove the last stroke. I'm guessing it's something like this. So this is correct. Yeah, it's fine. Great. I think this was something like eiga kan, if I remember correctly. So this is E, yeah. This is I. To make ka, you start with. Sorry, to write ga, you start with ka, and then you add these two marks on top called dakuten. Now it's a G, ga. I think there's like a eiga kan. I don't think there were two Ks actually. I think it's just. We'll see when I submit my answer, but I'm pretty sure there's no break. Eiga kan. Fantastic. So that was correct. Bakery was panya. Now, to me, pan is bread in French. And I know that pan is written in katakana, so I wouldn't be surprised if panya is also written in katakana. And so we just need ha, which is this. And then we apply handakuten on top to make it pa. This is an N, pan. And then ya is this one. That's crazy. So pan is in katakana, but panya is in hiragana. Wow. Okay. I mean, fine with me. So this is ha. When you apply dakuten on top, it's pa. So bakery in Japanese is panya, and we just saw that it's not written in katakana, it's written in hiragana. So pan, and then ya is this one. Park was, oh, I actually don't remember this one. Is it something like koen? Let's just give it a go, see what happens. So this is ko, this is u, this is I, this is an e, and then this is n. Koen. Okay, I was close enough. So, what close enough? Fairly close. So there's no I here. So it's koen. That's ko. That's the U. Let's try and write this more neatly. That's the E. And then this is the N. And then hotel is hoteru. Ho is this one. So we're gonna use katakana because this is clearly a loan word. And then ru is this one. Hoteru. Fantastic. I think this might be the perfect place to take a break for today, but I'd like to thank everyone that watched along during the stream. If you enjoyed these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. That would really help support the channel, help me support, help me make more videos like this, but then also work on the Lingo Command website that we're currently using. But yeah, thank you so much for watching along, and I will see y'all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.